afternoon. I'm DRBMiller and this is our daily news broadcast for Sunday, 10th of January of 2021. First of all, I wish to welcome all of our viewers, friends, fans, community members, participants, squad mates and everyone else who's watching this broadcast on various platforms. Welcome, thank you for supporting the channel and indeed for being here with us today. Really appreciate all of your messages and feedback. I've been asking for it quite a bit since last week because we have commenced with a new season of broadcasts here on my channel, and these have been somewhat differently structured, perhaps a selection of shorter streams with themes which were based on a particular subject or games that we currently engage with, and therefore I'm quite curious to see what you guys are thinking about the new ideas given to you. So far so good. Thank you first of all for taking time to write the messages. I've received quite a number and very pleased to see that you liked and enjoyed Night Call, the game I introduced this week. Some people sent me messages about Echo Generation. They were asking, when is this game going to come out, and what's happening. It's just really delightful. We really loved it. It's very similar to Minecraft meeting Fallout, and that was just simply my own personal experience of the demo as well. Well, the answer to that is very simple. I'm not sure exactly what the date is. I got the demo after the Game Awards last year from Jeff Keighley's team, and I've been really liking it and loving it ever since. I think it's really a quirky indie game that gives us a lot of funny dialogue and interesting activities in that sort of Minecraft styled environment visually, and I can't really wait for it to come out. So as soon as I get the dates, I'll ping you a message and I'll talk about it here. So thank you for liking it and enjoying it. That's exactly what the idea is behind our sessions of the DRBMiller Introducing. I want to be presenting you with the titles that I discovered, the titles that perhaps are not that well known, or the games that presently are not receiving a particular kind of attention in medias, but we really love those indie developers. We adore some of the games that they're producing every single day, and they require our input. So as we know, the vast majority of the industry leaders have accepted that Twitch and YouTube streaming is the future of video gaming advertising, and the marketing budgets will be allocated accordingly. So anyone who is a streamer, please do allow a section of your time to be dedicated to these guys, because really if you look at Twitch, you'll see everybody streaming PUBG, Warzone, World of Warcraft, League of Legends, the big titles, and therefore the small ones like Nightcall get brushed aside. And I really applaud Microsoft Studios and everybody on Xbox Game Pass for including so many indie titles on the roster. You can just simply subscribe for $1 and access more than 200 games presently that include also EA Game Pass to the platform, and it's a no-brainer. You have everything, literally something for every single participant. You can get the games which are for children, and the puzzlers, and the RPGs, and the FPS, and AAA blockbusters, and immersive open world games, and the list just goes on and on and on. And I have lots and lots of AAA blockbusters, I think, for anybody who is a fan of Destiny, or Halo, or Gears, or Fallout. You will find plenty of interesting material there for you to enjoy, as well as those who are belonging to the generations of Skyrim followers. We had Skyrim introduced recently, and that is in its digitally restored new special edition with the entire content, Game of the Year edition that is, so you can just simply download it and enjoy it. In fact, later today in the session we are going to be looking at something I've been introducing and recommending to everyone here for several months. It's our new Xbox Community Game Club, and I'll tell you in depth about the club, what I've done so far with it, and how I believe everybody should be approaching this wonderful new forum, and how you can also integrate it with various other social networking hubs. So bear with me, that will be coming a bit later here in my daily news broadcast. But firstly, we'll be looking at all that's come to us on The Wire. As you know, it's Sunday, so The Wires are not particularly busy during the weekend, but we have some interesting bits of news coming in. So let me see. First of all, I'll look at the questions. We had questions coming in from Norway, and we have Ricelop. He's asking, what's happening to Destiny, why aren't we not having Destiny here every single day. Thank you, Ricelot, for sending us this message. Well, the answer to that is quite simple. I'm still restructuring my Destiny streams, and I really want Destiny community to be as vibrant as it was initially, or certainly during the first 18 months of my broadcast here on the channel. And I'm actually waiting for cross-platform access. This has been announced in December, and one of the latest Bungie mail shots I received indicated it will be coming very shortly to our shores, and I'm really looking forward to it. So I'm expecting it to take place within the first couple of months of this year, and we already had the introduction of the cross-platform save 18 months ago, and that's been very useful because we can just hop on from one platform to another. But that cross-platform access is going to be making it truly sociable and greatly beautiful, bringing it in line with Warzone, the game we are broadcasting here every single day presently. And the reason for that is very simple. Warzone is very busy, it is very sociable, we have lots of teammates fully on board every single day. The actual gameplay is highly interactive. We talk all the time, and we created our own regiment, and the regiment literally was created within a few weeks of our existence there in that Warzone world. And I think everybody from the regiment will tell you the reason it's there is all to do with my streaming channel on Twitch, and the fact that I was able to bring in some wonderful gamers from various parts of the planet, and who all connected through the channel, and therefore continued playing Warzone literally on every single day of the year. So that's really wonderful. This is exactly what I want to see here on my channel. We want to have that degree of interactivity and sociability. We want everyone to be ethical and pleasant and civilized and supportive and fully inclusive. We want everyone to be paying attention to maximum team effort. I think Warzone is presently, together with Destiny, one of those games that is providing us with this opportunity. Sadly, we did lose some of that in Destiny, and I'm not sure exactly what the reason for that is, in fact, because I did see that Destiny 1 community gravitated more towards raids on Fridays and Saturdays, and the everyday activity became a bit depleted and very quiet. So I migrated from Destiny 1 to Destiny 2, but Destiny 2 community has not been very busy on the channel, I've got to say, and the vast majority of our Destiny 1 veterans for Frost is still, even after 2 years of its existence and various seasons and everything else. And I actually discussed that with our friend Matthias the other day, and we were sort of looking at what the reason for that might be, and we came to a conclusion that lots of people who are originally Destiny 1 veterans are still considering that the first game had, first of all, a very different pace. It was a different structure. It was a non-linear structure of delivery, where you had first of all many different tasks that you couldn't complete by yourself. You literally had to be doing them together with another person, and it was ideally designed for maximum team effort, 3-piece or 6-piece, depending on what activity you were pursuing. 6-piece would have been for Destiny raids, and these are pinnacle activities, the most difficult types of quests that you have within a game, and after you complete them with your full squad, you get the very best quantity loot, and you get some of the pinnacle AAA weapons as well. And the rest of the game was dedicated to a 3-man team, and particularly if you were doing it on the first run, Destiny 1 was a very tricky game. It did take a long while to get through certain quests, and that's exactly what happened to me as well. But I always worked with other people. I brought in other viewers from my Twitch streams, so we were always having a 2-piece or 3-piece tackling the enemy, and therefore I progressed rapidly forward, not just on one but all 3 characters. That was seen as being like a signature of that game, and once the sequel came out, I think the overall majority felt that it was half-baked, and that the game was taking a somewhat different direction. It was open world, it was beautifully designed, but the activities were not as hectic, and they also thought that storytelling was lagging to a degree, and I guess many people not that interested in the actual story. If you looked at the original, you would have seen that it wasn't given in a linear fashion. It was quite hard to piece all those bits of puzzle together, and I certainly had several non-linear, I should say several linear narrative runs here on the channel, and I still, after about 2 or 3, was not that clear on who certain characters were and as to why they were popping up in our Destiny universe. So from my personal point of view, I always thought that Destiny storytelling was its weakest section, the part of the game where Bungie could have really certainly provided a lot more input. But on the other hand, similar to Halo, they really wanted a game that is very attractive to multiplayer teams and to a group effort. And if you are really spending a lot of time on cutscenes and dialogue and NPCs, then the overall team effort will be affected. And as we've seen with Battle Royale, for instance, Battle Royale does not have a story. It has certainly a task, an activity ahead that needs to be completed, and that really brings people together, makes them really work very hard on the basic task, and indeed produces maximum team effort. So that's the thinking that had, and as they progressed over the last 7 years, the Bungie had taken us a different direction, and that was very much to do with first of all retaining the community, providing a lengthy shelf life for the game. So they were building more and more within the universe, providing more content, providing greater diversity with Gambit, which is PvP together with PvE, and then with the Crucible, and then with campaigns and all the other quests, seasonal content, regular Easter and summer as well as winter seasons, and altogether something for everyone. And I personally quite like Destiny 2. I think it is a game that provides us with an enormous amount of content, and I can't really say that I've had any issues whatsoever with it. Maybe at the beginning I did feel that some of the planets were not properly designed, and visually they didn't really blend in too well with the very kind of basic sections of the game, like for instance the tower or the moon, and that's been massively enhanced as we went along. As you've seen, they've taken I think it's 4 planets into the vault. They'll be reworked, remastered, they will look completely different afterwards, and with the inclusion of Cosmodrome and the moon, we've had a complete revamp of the old maps. They look a lot better, they look really very, very dynamic and very alive, and that is exactly what's going to happen to the rest of the planets. Coming back to an earlier point, we all concluded, Matthias, myself and all the other veterans, that perhaps there was this element of resistance. The people felt Destiny 1 was a more complex, better game, perhaps not as vast in content, but certainly a lot more difficult to complete, and a game that was requiring a lot more team effort and participation from your buddies and community-based friends. So I think that's probably what's still drawing people to the original, and I personally feel that some sections of Destiny 2, because it's so vast, are a bit repetitive, and we are brought back to do lengthy grinds. And I was doing the Dawning, for instance, during the Christmas period, and it was enjoyable, I didn't mind it, but doing all the recipes, baking the cookies, and then just getting the Masterwork oven just seemed a bit pedestrian. And on the other hand, I did pick up all the other major exotic loot right from the beginning as I entered the season, because kind of due to the grinds, I managed to collect XPs, materials, and everything else. I was able to the currency and was able to claim them quite fast. So that's the future of Destiny, and I think the community might be somewhat split in the middle. We have lots and lots of people still playing it together with their mates, but they'll go for the Crucible, and I'm particularly not really that hot on the Crucible. I'm not really a fan of death matches overall, and I've done quite a bit of it in Destiny 1 in order to keep our community entertained and to bring people in, but I much prefer tactical military simulations similar to what we have in Ghost Recon, Warzone and PUBG, and therefore that's my bread and butter. So these are the thoughts really, and I really want Destiny streams to be like Destiny Universe rather than Destiny 1 or 2, but that's not reflected on our community participation. So coming back to our friend from Norway, that's the reason I'm trying to work it out, and I really was a bit sad to have been doing Beyond Light without any other participant coming in. And some people said, well, that's because you're doing it on Xbox, because the vast majority of our community members were on PlayStation. So that makes it tricky, still waiting for crossplay, because then what I'll get is everybody coming in from any platform, and there will be no shortage of participants at any given moment in time, and that's exactly what we want to see. So I think Destiny will take off in a big fashion here yet again, as we have cross-platform access, and I'll try also to bring into Destiny some of my Warzone veterans, because they'll find it really equally interesting with raids and some of the other activities. Destiny is very immersive. It's similar to Elder Scrolls. You know, as you keep progressing, you're collecting more loot, you're getting to know more about the story, you're becoming more connected to some of the elements of that wonderful endless Destiny universe, and you become more familiar with those characters as well. So Destiny Saga is a bit like Star Wars. You have all the characters, you've got the universe, but I've got to say, Star Wars is better told through the narrative, through its narrative structures. Destiny still feels a bit fractured on the front. They've done a lot on the RPG integration with Shadowkeep and Beyond Light, but I still feel that Destiny is not there. You know, we are progressing towards that great storytelling, and for anyone who played Mass Effect, which is similar to Destiny in terms of its open world and, you know, the vast universe and the characters, you would be able to see the difference straight away. But Mass Effect is a wonderful combination of RPG with FPS, and it did have a problem with a three-man team where you couldn't bring in other participants to play the other two guys compared to Destiny. So Destiny had that, and they probably would have considered the fact lots of people complained initially when Mass Effect was released. It's so terrible that we can't be playing these other two characters in the squad, and I think this still appears to be of concern. I'm quite curious to see whether this will be reworked with the remastered edition that will be coming out in March of this year, and the new kind of Mass Effect anthology is called, with the first 3 games being reworked. I'm quite curious, because if that is being introduced, then obviously we'll be laughing. It'll be just the best possible, and I just can't wait for that to come out. My favorite game, of course, I'll pre-order it and get it on the first day. We'll stream it in here as well, and that is Mass Effect Trilogy. Not just one of those games, but all 3 together as a pack. The sequel, number 2, Mass Effect 2, was my favorite, but still, most highly recommend every one of those to everyone, because the sequel had the greatest, the most mesmerizing, in-depth story with loads of different outcomes. I think it was like 150 different resolutions towards the end, depending on what characters you played, whom you talked to, and that is something I personally would like to see in Destiny as well. Don't forget, they're investing in Destiny universe, so anything can happen, and I think, considering the works completed so far, we've seen Beyond Light is definitely changing direction. It's more pursuing the area of storytelling, and once they get back to the studio, once we get pandemic fully sorted, I'm quite certain we'll have a lot of new content and many surprises to come our way. So that's the reason, that's the answer to our friend. There were some messages of support coming in for Warzone streams. We had, I can't actually remember his name now, there was one person who was connecting with us on YouTube, watched our streams and said that we were really entertaining and very funny, and he found it really delightful that we just approached every single death with a lot of laughter, and you know, we've taken it on the chin, so to speak. He said lots of people I watched we have seen getting really angry, and they were really highly excited when they were winning, and very kind of disappointed when losing. You guys are just so chilled, you can do whatever you want at any time, you always have a lot of fun. Well, that's the way to approach the game, and thank you for your thoughts. And quite frankly, I mean, I apologize, I really should have seen who that was. Just bear with me, I'll tell you straight away. I said that I couldn't remember the name, which is completely unacceptable. So let me see. Myrna Rivera, that was. Thank you so much for the message, and thank you for supporting the channel. And basically, he thought this was really very entertaining. He wanted to have the same sort of approach, and he also recommended another clan. He said you might want to hook up with his guys. Perhaps you want to play sometimes together in some other sections of the game. Maybe you want to do some other game together as well. And he was suggesting that we kind of look at some of the streams and some of the activities. Well, thank you for that. Presently, we are not really into collaboration of that sort on Warzone. we are still building our regiment, and we are trying to really polish up our skills so we can get always down to the last 10, and we're not there yet. It will take us a few months to get there. And also don't forget we have 27 members of our regiment, which means frequently we are playing in the same squads of 4, and we really want to be creating the squads which are really steady, and if you play with somebody 150 times you know exactly how to tick, you know exactly what the strategy is. And I guess from my point of view, because everybody connected to the channel, I will know pretty well amongst the regulars what type of team we can be putting together. So for instance, I will know that if for instance we have Hunter and Ben with us, we have 2 Charlie team members, I'll be Delta, and then we need the 4th one who plays somewhere in between, because the Delta member like myself will be doing recce and doing target allocation and watching everyone's back. 2 of other Charlie team members, Ben and Hunter, will be going out on an all-out attack, but they will be relying on my eyes. They will be relying on my eyes, and they will ask me to point out and ping exactly the position where the enemy is, and they will go on an all-out assault with a section attack, eliminate the enemies. And you've seen, if you watched our streams, when we worked well together as a team, when we had perfect target allocation, they were getting anything between 6 to 12 kills per match, and that was not amongst them, but actually about 6 or 7 kills each, altogether coming to about 15-17 kills. So that was really amazing. And that is exactly how the team effort works. This is why I really like Warzone. In fact, I prefer it today to PUBG, the game I was playing here on my channel quite a bit a little while back, and also played it on various other platforms inclusive of Android. I think it does give us the opportunity to really polish up that maximum team effort. It's quite close to real life, and you need to really literally have to be in the zone. You need to switch on and consider all the factors that need to be there. So coming back to our friend Mena Rivera, if there's one thing that's absolutely essential, is what we have in the title of our regiment, right? If you see the tag, you will see it says TW BBC, right? So you might think, well, what's this TW BBC? You might think there's some guys from British Broadcasting Corporation, BBC, participating there. Well, actually it doesn't stand for BBC. It stands for something else, and I'll tell you what that is. So first of all, it's teamwork. TW, teamwork. So that means absolute maximum team effort. The second BB means buybacks. If you do the maximum team effort, you're collecting contracts, you're getting the loot, you're doing everything necessary in order to get your mates back as soon as they're being eliminated. So let's say they don't make the gulag, or they've already been in the gulag before, you bring them back immediately, which means gives your team a major advantage compared to others. You'll see other people struggling with currency, not collecting contracts, not having enough money to bring people back. So if you are thinking of playing it as a solo against the teams of 4 that are tactical and highly skilled, it's just simply a non-starter. It's a wasted effort. It can happen sometimes towards the end of the game. You've seen yesterday we've had Spurs being the only person who survived the assault, and he was able to get to the last 2. But the trouble there was, we would have won the game had there been like 2 guys left against him, but there were 4 guys left against him, and he was able to engage with the 2, but then obviously on reload or anything else, the other guys got him. So you could see the most important thing there was maximum team effort. We were able to get to the last 2 because we were all there right from the beginning. We kept buying each other's back, and we kept bringing each other back, and that exactly was the recipe. That was almost ensuring that victory, or you could say us getting to the last 3. So that's very important. So it's teamwork, TW, buybacks, PB, and the fundamental part of that activity is comms. How on earth are you to coordinate your effort if you're not talking? If you're in a field, your radio's on, your radios go dead, what happens? Your head's cut off. You just simply don't know where you are, you don't know what's going on. And sadly, that does happen sometimes if you're operating in hostile terrain, particularly if you're doing the mountains or somewhere high up, then the radio signal may not be as pertinent, and you may be losing the comms, and you will know straight away if you lose your comms, well, you're 3/4 dead. So if you are in a small squad of 4, you'll communicate then within the squad. You rely on each other's words or signs or whatever else you will be producing in order to connect. So that's fundamental. If you play Warzone and if you don't have your mic on, you're not going to succeed. Just forget it. It's a complete waste of time, and you will not be able to get the best scores. I'm talking about doing it obviously in a quad or in a trio. You need to communicate to others. So it's teamwork, buybacks and comms. It's three things together, and you need to stick to that at all times, to ensure victories, to produce really good results, and to be fully connected to your team and other community members. Very, very important. Watch other people's streams, learn from what they do, and find out for yourself what appears to be the best method, the best tactics for you, the ones which can blend in with your personality and your style of gameplay. Right, so that's exactly as far as Warzone is concerned. Very good responses. Thanks very much to Myrna, Rivera, and all the other guys exploring our streams on playback. And I know that we are operating in various time zones, but it's very, very encouraging. And I have to say that I had more playback messages coming in, and feedback attached to those than to what I've had with some other streams on my channel. So that's very, very encouraging and very, very grateful. And also I endeavor to archive every single broadcast immediately within 24 hours of its release, so you are able to catch up on YouTube and through all the other inclusions in there, if you are still interested in how we are doing overall in Warzone. So to summarize, some questions were about Warzone, the others about Destiny. As I said, these are the games that are going to be here on my channel for a very, very long time, and I'm just waiting for cross-platform access on Destiny to pop up, and then we'll have more Destiny streams. I need to see whether I'll do consecutive days with Destiny and Warzone. So like for instance, Monday's Destiny, Tuesday's Warzone, and we'll have two of those together on a particular day, one being a bit lengthier than another. We'll have to see, we'll decide, but there will be a concept that will be something that will come across as very, very engaging for our viewers, for our community, and most importantly, we want to have that degree of continuity. That's fundamental. And for anyone who was asking about Destiny, Destiny's not been lost, but I'm just streaming is a kind of activity where you want to have the greatest possible social interaction. So doing it all by yourself, streaming a game where you're just doing it by yourself, is not really something that you want to be experiencing. It is that you build a community, people come in and talk to you and communicate and interact, and there are many different ways through which you can accomplish this. I've given some tutorials earlier this week, and if you're interested, you can just go back to our news bulletins of Monday, Tuesday and Wednesday, and I talked at length about how to really set up a channel and what you can do in order to ensure safe, secure and entertaining type of broadcasting, and that's exactly what we want to be carrying on with in here. So therefore, having a stream that is perhaps very quiet is something that raises eyebrows here with me, and I really immediately take steps in order to make both the channel and the content as interactive as possible. Okay, so that's really all from our community for today. Well, thank you everyone for being so friendly and so interactive. Really, really appreciate all of your comments and views. Keep them coming. Use Twitter, private messaging, Twitch, Instagram, anything, in order to provide feedback. Always very greatly appreciated. So now we are going to be looking at some of the news that came to us on the wires. Not really that much to say, really, to be honest. We have news coming from Push Square saying Joe's Diner has gotten a PS5 patch. Okay, so let's see what's happening with Joe's Diner, and that should be really very, very interesting. They said the most important PlayStation 4 game not playable on PS5 launch has only gone and got itself a patch that adds next-gen compatibility. This means that Joe's Diner is now playable on PS5 via backwards compatibility. Update 101 fixes the problem, weighing over 500 megabytes, which is tiny. The patch means the list of all PS4 games that do not work on PS5 has reduced once again after the developer, TT Isle of Man, Ride on the Edge 2, confirmed that it would be working on support for Sony's new machine. So that's very good news. Thumbs up. And very, very happy if you're playing Joe's Diner, you'll be able to crack on immediately on PlayStation 5 as well. And to be honest with you, they are launching the whole system of backward compatibility, but that does not include PS3 2 and 1 games. It does tend to. They said they will include PS4 and PS5 games, so we need to see how everything will unravel and I think it is greatly inferior from what I've seen so far compared to what we have on Xbox. But you know, it may evolve. We may get some other ideas coming in from the corporation, so we need to be patient and we need to see first of all whether it all works. I personally have a serious problem with Sony pursuing the idea of partial backward compatibility, where the other console is giving you, the list of literally every single title they ever released. And for us veterans of PlayStation and Xbox, we want to be able to play old games on any platform, on any of our consoles, and it is tricky to have all of your old consoles plugged in, and PS2 will not work too well on 4K TVs, and the games will need to be remastered because the graphics and all the other tech elements, and I think Xbox is excelling in that respect, and I certainly absolutely loved and enjoyed my backward compatibility. And they did say that with a new console, the system is going to include every single game ever released. Not happened yet, but that's the plan for the next couple of years. They already had made 75% of their catalog backward compatible, and you've seen from all this said here, and if you are an avid Xbox user through the platforms like Gold and Game Pass and also through the store, lots of games are indeed already adapted for next gen usage, and therefore you can just stick to this skin and everything will work. You have to download that update, which is sometimes quite sizable, but the only tricky thing there I still have is you need to always carry the disc with you. I'm just hoping that that's going to be discarded in due course, because that disc, once registered on your account on your xCloud, really shouldn't be necessary anymore. I mean, think about it. Everything is about mobility, the fact that we can access our games wherever we are. But I might be able to access Assassin's Creed Trilogy, the original trilogy, which I bought in 360, if I don't have the discs with me and I want to play them on my Android phone. So there will have to be a solution, but I'm quite certain they'll be working on this. If you're asking yourselves what's the reason for this, but the reason is quite simple and complex at the same time. It's to do with licensing laws, it's to do with copyright, because what they want is for you to basically prove that you are the legal owner of that game, i.e. that somebody gave it to you, or indeed that you bought it and you have a legal copy of the game. And that's really very much old gen. If you are buying a game like Skyrim, let's say, off Microsoft or PlayStation stores, you are then downloading it directly to your console. It's in your account, and they will know exactly that because you purchased it. It's there and then that you can verify the compatibility and its licensing requirements, and therefore there are no issues. And with discs, it's a different story. So I think discs will become outdated very, very shortly. I think we'll have just a few discs released for special editions, a bit like what you have on vinyl, as the same sort of thing, because it's just the tech's kind of moved on. And certainly, if I want to be truthful and honest, I can certainly tell you that I believe anything which is digitally downloaded will be of benefit to me, because I can then travel around the world and access my games initially from my console or later through xCloud from wherever I am, and that's exactly how I personally want it to be. Atom Zombie Smasher meets Jason Statham, and that's Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War goes nuclear in next week's mid-season update. Atom Zombie Smasher, next week's mid-season update for Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War, is adding a dash of thermonuclear conflict with a new 6 vs 6 multiplayer mode. Played actually these during alpha and beta days of Cold War, and some of those were quite good, I thought. Arriving next Thursday, January the 14th, so that's in a few days. 4 days in fact. Cold War's first mid-season update was revealed alongside patch notes for yesterday's Call of Duty patch, one that infamously did not quite nerf Warzone's DMR hard enough. Well, that's true. That's true. We were getting killed by DMR yesterday, and I still haven't unlocked it for some reason. Don't know why. And I definitely do need it. Well, that update added some neat twists to existing multiplayer modes. Next week sees Treyarch introduce a new mode called Drop Kick. So it's described as a fight for control of the nuclear codes, details on Dropkick may have actually slipped way back in November. As per those leaked loading screens, Dropkick sees two teams duke it out over control of launch codes and an objective to set up a nuclear bomb. Fireteam is also getting sunny new map, Sanatorium, which is pictured above if you're reading the article on PC Gamer, which I posted, while Zombies is going all Jason Statham with its new variant Cranked. So that's sounding good. We're looking forward to it. We're waiting for that Thursday to pop up. David Jaffe has zero knowledge on cross-gen God of War Ragnarok, which is definitely expected. We told you yesterday that these rumors are floating on the internet that there will be cross-gen God of War Ragnarok release, and they did say that this is just completely out of ordinary because, as you know, God of War is a Sony exclusive. They have no intention of spreading it out to other platforms. So the series creator David Jaffe was also doing on a live stream this week, but it didn't take long for the media to pick up on his comments and run with them. So he said, I'm sure the next God of War will be PS4 and PS5. It will. I mean, PlayStation boss Jim Ryan said that as much, and then he said also that had no comments about Ragnarok's availability. And then Jeff was sharing an opinion, and since the story started to circulate around the web, he's put out a clarification tweet in his trademark style. So he said, well, what's going on with everyone? I have zero knowledge if the new God of War is cross-gen, but come on, of course it is. I was stating an opinion based on things Jim Ryan has said in press, and the fact that I'm not, whatever he said in there, it's not my place to reveal any God of War information, so it's just more speculation. He didn't really deny or confirm anything, and I think the idea is, like I said yesterday, what they do at the moment is they throw in lots of rumors in order to attract investors early. You know, these companies are very much dependent on investors' capital, and this is just all speculations. And it's interesting that the information related to release of a game like The Last of Us 2 or God of War Ragnarok is treated with such degree of confidentiality as if it was a state secret, and nobody is allowed to be saying anything until the last minute. It's like really, really tightly guarded by laws and everything else, and people do respect that degree of confidentiality which is required. So all the rumors and everything else floating on the internet is simply just like I said, we all have to be very, very careful with the rumors floating on the internet, because they may not be accurate, and they could be also creating unreasonable number of requests and assumptions that eventually would be affecting a game release. And this is what we do not want to see. We've seen that with The Last of Us 2, and I personally was very, very displeased with all that unraveled. So we've heard that PS5 maintains high frame rates in Destiny by dropping its resolutions more often than Xbox Series X, and I have a message and a video here from J-Rock, thank you for that, indicating that the game is performing a tiny little bit better on the new PS5 console. There have been some speculations about the performance of both new consoles, but I'd just like to ask everyone to be a bit more patient. This is just all very early days, and we do want to see how everything will progress in due course. We need to get some patches and updates and various other things. And don't forget, you'll be also dependent not just on the console, but on the way through which the game is being made accessible to next gen and some games will perform better than others. That's what I'm trying to say. And Destiny is certainly a game that was beyond light prepared for the next gen, and as you know, it's been released together with the console on the same day, on 10th of November of last year, so therefore it should be working perfectly on both consoles. I think the difference is minute, but you will get some tech geeks and tech wizards who will be spotting even the most minute differences between the performances of the two. But at the same time, I've got to say, if you're getting the frame rate to drop, it does affect you in FPS and all the kind of high energetic, high octane games. You really can tell the difference, and I've seen with PUBG, for instance, on my setup in here, when the frame rate drops, it's literally unplayable. It's really affecting you so badly, and it does have a very negative optic effect on you. So it's very important that everything performs as smoothly as it should. Limited Run Games announces 3 physical versions of Scott Pilgrim vs. the World, and we are getting this information on Eurogamer. Limited Run Games has announced 3 boxed versions of Scott Pilgrim 5's, the World, the game for PlayStation 4 and Nintendo Switch. You can obviously pre-order them, and alternatively you can pick up the KO edition, which includes everything listed above, plus a premium hardshell Roadie collector's casebook box featuring working lights and sound. Opening the case turns on the lights and sound music from Amanaguchi, as well as revealing a pop-up scene of Sex Bomb. It also includes bonus Sex Bomb guitar picks, an enamel pin, full-size wooden drumsticks with game art. Limited Run Games ship worldwide, and custom charges are included in the final price for UK customers. So that's very interesting. We got that special edition of Scott Pilgrim Scott Pilgrim versus the World, and as you could see, the special edition sounds very, very appetizing. We have some postings from autumn. If you're interested, have a look at the postings on my Twitter. We are getting some very funny, very funky gameplay here, where one of her streamer friends was also flying a chopper together with her, and that's very entertaining. I'll always include some of the content coming from my community members, so if you're interested, have a look and enjoy some of their screenshots and video clips. Halo Infinite designer has left 343 Studios to join Darksider Studio, so that's a bit of concern, considering that the game is presently still being worked on, and as you know, it's been delayed for about a year. Originally we were expecting Halo Infinite to be released on the 10th of November of last year, and so that's really quite interesting. On the other hand, we shouldn't be making any preconceived assumptions if people leave studios, because for veterans of studios who spent like 10-15 years working on many different games, other opportunities could have risen, and you know perfectly well that we're living in very, very difficult times, so that might be just departing from the company for no other reason, but some other better employment opportunity that would have popped up. And there were some speculations yesterday about 2 people who left their companies, and I talked about that here on my stream, and I personally just want to rely on the hard data. So Colby Payne left 343 Industries to take a position at Texas-based studio Gunfire Games. Halo Infinite developer Colby Payne has gone, and January the 7th was his last day working for 343 Industries, and now he's going to be taking a position at Darksider studio Gunfire Games. Payne was a campaign-level gameplay designer on Halo Infinite from April 2019 to January 21, and he worked for 343 on a contract basis. So, that's the news. Let's just hope that his departure is not going to be affecting the release of the game. We have a guide here on Game Rant asking us or telling us how to find the last city in Destiny 2, so that's quite interesting. And Destiny 2 lore enthusiasts refer back to a lore book to find out where exactly the game's main player hub is located to settle an old debate. Much like its predecessor, Destiny 2 is vast and can be hard to dive into. I agree. The 2 games combined have enjoyed numerous expansions and accumulated an immense amount of lore. That said, Bungie is very careful about the amount of information it discloses in storytelling. As so, Destiny continues to have an aura of mystery and ambiguity, even for the veteran fans. Certain simple tidbits like where on earth the last city is located might still be unknown to some people. However, law enthusiasts think they find sufficient clues to arrive to an answer. Players may be more familiar with the term tower compared to the Lost City. The tower is the main hub of Destiny, and it is located on the walls of the Lost City. The full breadth of the metropolis can be viewed from the tower, but Destiny 2 players seldom find a chance to visit the streets of this place. Recently, the Reddit community took an interest in Ava's Journey lore book that was introduced back in Black Armory. Its entries, well, just to put in perspective, it is being told in a fashion which is not instantly connecting various characters. So you will be getting bits of the story through your activities, and it's not being told through cutscenes or, the usual type of narrative that you get in big open world games. Therefore, it is very, very confusing. For instance, I played Destiny for many, many hours and streamed it here as well, and I still find it quite difficult to understand who does what sometimes. Because of its kind of fractured non-linear storytelling system. So this is what they're explaining. If you want to be pursuing a particular section, like finding the Lost City, it's very important you do certain activities in sequence. And the way you can do that is either you can rely on teammates to tell you exactly where to go and what to do, or you can follow some of the walkthroughs and tips on the internet. So they introduced this interesting Ava's Journey lore book, and that came up in Black Armory. Its entries describe Ava Levant's perspective of the Red War. In it, the handler of the dawning event, Ava Levant, talks with Tess Everest, the Eververse story's owner. It is stated that while Ava was at the farm near the European Dead Zone, Tess was at the tower inside of the Lost City. More importantly, during this conversation, it was the middle of the night at the farm, while the Lost City was under daylight. This has led lore fans to deduce that the Lost City must be far enough away from Europe to create a stark time difference. Using the information alongside potential candidates such as Old Russia, close to Cosmodrome, and the Andes Mountains, the community seems to be unanimous that the Lost City is likely situated in the latter. So the Andes Mountains, but specifically Chile, has been a popular choice for many fans, and for good reason. Located in South America, it is far enough away from the European Dead Zone, and its landscape matches what players see in game quite well. Moreover, users report that the game mentions plants native to South America. However, the character that provides the most evidence is Amanda Holiday. Firstly, she tells the Guardian that she flew across the pond to reach the tower from the EDZ. Secondly, she recalls crossing the Panama Ravine as a child to find refuge in the Lost City. So this anecdote is told during one of the post-mission dialogue scenes for the Last Call campaign mission from Forsaken. These details are very, very hard to keep, and I'm afraid I really did not pick up on any of that because of the way Destiny story is told. I personally would like to have like a Destiny Saga mini-film or something of that sort, which people could access then through various hubs within that Destiny universe. The reason for that is simple: it will really enable people to follow the story better, and similar to Halo, like they've done with Halo series, they should be able to produce that in due course. Some sad news arriving today. We heard that 7-time Tetris world champion Jonas Neubauer has died of a sudden medical emergency, so we're very saddened to see that a youthful 39-year-old passed away. We're not sure what the cause of death was, but according to messages posted to his Twitter profile and Discord, he died of a sudden medical emergency on January the 5th. As Neubauer once told Tetris.com, he first got into Tetris after playing it on his uncle's Macintosh at the age of 6 or 7. The simplicity of it intrigued me, and I also enjoyed the fact that I was against the game itself and not another player. He said my older brothers were great at chess and I never liked playing with them. So he competed and won the first Classic Tetris Championship in 2010, then he came back 2011, 2012 and 13. Then he was second in 2014, came back to win 3 more times, 15, 16 and 17, set 2 world records in 2018 for highest score and fastest time to 300,000 points. They said that he was an absolute pillar of positivity and humility, and you can see that on display in the footage which they posted in here on PC Gamer as well. Very, very sad. I've got to say I'm really saddened and deeply concerned about the passing of several gamers in recent times, and it did make me wonder what could have caused it. And there might be various medical reasons for it, but I can't stop thinking that those people who are spending a lot of the times indoors and seated, perhaps not being physically active enough, could then develop certain illnesses, or the conditions they might have get worse due to that. So I'd just like to say to everyone who's a gamer, in order to ensure that you are fully mobile and that you're physically fit and well, you always need to take short breaks, and I do that every 90 minutes of my gaming or streaming. And the difference there is most people are seated whilst they play games. With me it's the other way around. I'm always standing, so when I'm standing I'm always walking around and doing something, which makes me highly mobile, and that doesn't provide any form of immobility, stiffness or pains like some other people have described. I've seen lots of people playing on PCs and saying they're getting serious wrist injuries because of mouse and the use of keyboards, and I really wouldn't be able to do that sort of thing. Therefore I prefer controllers on my consoles. And just make sure you take regular breaks, and first of all, if you play games, always have 2 liters of water next to you. Keep drinking either water or herb tea or some liquid. You need to be constantly supplying water to your body, because if you play FPS or high-paced games, you will be dehydrated quite a bit, and this obviously is affecting your neurological functions and the way your body works. So keep in mind, we promote as ambassadors healthy, ethical, enjoyable and entertaining gaming. We want people to enjoy games, but we do not want to be having gamers doing them over the top and never ever having breaks, and therefore suffering some medical emergencies. I did hear a story of a gamer in Korea who played a game for I think 2 or 3 days in a trot without sleep, and then he died of a heart attack. Well, it's just completely insane. This is not as to why the games are created, and we all want to have a lot of fun, but I can see why that happens. I played a couple of games which did have the kind of a addictive competitive element attached to them, and also I think for those people who are trying to kind of profess the skills or work hard on a specific selection of activities, they may feel drawn to that. Like Battle Royale, you always want to get ahead, you want to have a better score. If things go wrong, you want to have the next game to be ending with better ranking. But just like financial markets, the games are always there, they're not going anywhere, and you can always pop back in and try it again. Just make sure you are modest and moderate, you do everything in moderation, make sure you have some water with you, get up and stretch after, well, let's say every 60 minutes, make sure you're mobile, make sure you exercise, you eat well, you sleep well. I really would like to say to people, do not game at night. That's not a good idea. I mean, as far as your health is concerned, you really want to be doing games during the day, and if you play in the evening, well, have a cut-off hour, like 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock in the evening. Do not play games at 3, 4, 5, 6 in the morning. This will be affecting your sleeping pattern, be affecting you physically, and that's just not the way it should be. I've seen people doing 24-hour streams, doing all-night streams, and I'm personally absolutely against that. I know it might get you some extra subscribers, it may provide you with some followers on Instagram, but your health, particularly during the times of this absolutely ghastly pandemic, is a lot more important than a few followers who are sort of added to your account. So keep this in mind. Very, very deeply saddened to hear that the world champion of Tetris passed away at the tender age of 39. Rust is making a ton of money on Steam. So let us see what is happening with Rust. We are getting some news through Games Rant, and Rust has been enjoying something of a renaissance thanks to exposure on Twitch, and it appears that exposure is translating into sales. Well, that's exactly what every developer wants to see. They believe that doing promotion through Twitch and YouTube streams is going to be getting certain games a much greater exposure, and I absolutely agree with that. I mean, think of Apex. We helped the launch, we helped the publicity, and Apex at that time was superseding any other game on the planet. And Apex is a wonderful game, and it's been well developed, but it didn't really get back to the degree of hype that was created during the first couple of weeks, and all of that was due to Twitch streams. So remember that if you're a streamer, it's very important to support certain games in order to get greater publicity. I told you earlier I've established a particular separate section here on my channel called DRBMiller Introducing, because I want the games I personally love and indeed those which I discover through various platforms to be introduced to wide audiences, so that other people could have the experience of enjoyment and entertainment in the same way as myself. So you should really do likewise, support these other games. In a moment I'll be telling you about Xbox Game Club and all that we have there. I have, for instance, as a member of that club, you can be supporting developers and participants in the community. So Rust, the multiplayer sandbox survival game, is making headlines for a number of reasons. 2 private servers that feature a number of prominent streamers have increased the game's visibility, resulting in a record number of new players to Rust. With so many folks tuning in and picking up the game, it should come as no surprise that this is leading to some increased revenue for Rust developer Facepunch Studios. So most of the increased publicity comes as a result of controversy bring via offline TV Rust server. The server is invite only, and when one of those invitations was sent out to sometimes abrasive streamer XQC, his antics stirred up trouble. XQC started accusing others of stream sniping after having loot stolen. A number of streamers invited to participate have not been happy with the way in which this streamer has conducted himself, but the headlines generated have substantially raised the profile of the game. When I hear things like this, I just always wonder whether this has been orchestrated, because causing mayhem, a scandal, or something which is troubling will be attracting a lot of attention. Sadly, when you do something like a charitable run to help Children's Hospital, that receives no attention. People are not interested in that, although you're doing something completely noble. You do something as silly as described here, you get all the attention. Human psychology for you. Alright, so that's... Oh, we've got one last bit of news for you today, and that's the news directed at everyone who plays Borderlands. Well, fantastic news coming our way. A live-action Borderlands movie is set to start filming soon, and I read the news the other day through, I think, International Movie Database, and I've heard also of a number of people who were confirmed as participants, so I'll tell you all about it. The live-action Borderlands movie is set to start filming soon in Hungary. In a conversation with Hollywood Reporter, the Hollywood Reporter that is, how Hungary's movie industry has had to adjust to accommodate the threat of COVID, Adam Goodman, head of production services at Mid-Atlantic Films, reported that it's opened up space for the Lionsgate production thanks to PC Gamer. So we opened a space for a Lionsgate film, Borderlands, and it's going to be starring Cate Blanchett and Kevin Hart in the lead roles. We are doing season 3 of Jack Ryan for Paramount, and we are doing a Marvel project which, for the usual security reasons, I can't talk about. And so a film adaptation of Gearbox post-apocalyptic comedy shooter was first announced all the way back in 2015, but it appeared to be stuck in development limbo until Hostel director Eli Roth's involvement was revealed in early 2020. Confirmation that Blanchett will star as Lilith over the summer marked the first bit of casting news for the project. So Eli will be directing the Borderlands movie from a script by Craig Mason, and he also worked on TV series Chernobyl, and with Avi Arad and Avi Arad producing alongside Eric Feig. So that's all we wanted to know. Cate Blanchett as Lilith, well, that will be absolutely terrific. Can't wait to hear more. Right, so these were the news, and right at the end of all of our activities today in News Bulletin, I'll tell you a bit more about Xbox Game Club. Well, first of all, I talked about it earlier last year, before it was conceived, and we wanted to see an outlet where Xbox ambassadors and other gamers could really join forces and provide great publicity for certain games, also to make a forum which is similar to Facebook, where all of your in-gaming activity is being shared with others. So like a book club for games, Xbox Community Game Club is having the same sort of aura. So each week will be featuring, and it does feature, a game for members to play. All the games are on Xbox Game Pass as well, so you can easily, if you're a member, download them without any extra charges. So you will be able to play, share and discuss all the games, and as I said, it's all there for you to enjoy by one click on download button. So join today to discover new games, make new friends, and for your chance at winning exclusive giveaways. I've got to say, I felt the idea was brilliant, but it's about 2 months later. I don't feel that people are picking up on the activity as much as they should, and I'm not sure why. The forums are full of screenshots and there are people discussing certain games, but it just seems, how to put it, I don't seem to be seeing as many numbers as expected, because I thought having a community of gamers attached to one console would be full of buzz and excitement, but it's not happened. And maybe it will need to have greater input on Discord, or maybe with some video comms or something else added to it. So if you have some thoughts, send me a message, tell me all about it. I'll be very, very glad to hear, because I'm communicating with the Xbox team and also talk a lot about it here on my channel, and any feedback coming to myself will be forwarded to the team out there, because they will be very interested to hear on all the responses that are coming from the users. Basically, the banner is play, share, discuss. So really the idea is to turn people away from solitary gaming, particularly during the times of the pandemic. We want people to discover new games, so therefore we have one game per week recommended as the game of the week, and we want them to be then first of all playing the game a bit to find out what the game's like, then share all of their favorite moments, and then engage with others through some form of discussion. And that discussion needs to take place on Twitter. So we don't have a separate Xbox community game club forum that will be catering just for that. I need to double check whether they have anything on Facebook, but I think the idea is to get this through Twitter, because with hashtags you will get messages coming in, and then they'll be picked up by search engines. And I've seen quite a few postings in there, I've got to say. I think I really quite liked some of the screenshots and the clips, but the overall discussion did not seem to take off in a fashion that I personally would like to see. And I guess it's similar to what we've seen with Xbox Ambassador community. We had a lot of excitement initially, but then Microsoft kept changing the structure, and lots of people kind of fizzled away to a degree. I can certainly say for myself, I'm a regular Xbox Ambassador contributor. I always triple check all the entries and all the tasks every single week. I contribute to the forums, I write messages, answer various other questions that come in. I'm definitely very busy and active, and I'd like to see others doing exactly the same. So this week, the game of the week is Call of the Sea, and they talked quite a lot about this game on Xbox channel, and we've had several introductions via Larry and Jeff's podcast, as well as some other presentations. So I'm quite excited to see it. I've not played the game yet. We'll download the game tonight and we'll introduce it tomorrow as part of DRBMiller introducing. We are going to be having these games briefly introduced every single week through that slot, and let's see how many people will be watching, communicating, participating. So we'll say playing, sharing and discussing those together with us. Call of the Sea is the game of the week this week, between January the 4th and January the 10th, so it's actually ending today. I'm slightly behind. I actually thought of doing the game last week before doing Nightcall, but I really did say Nightcall has been my favorite discovery of last year, and therefore I wanted to fully introduce it, which I think has been completed already. I'm not finished the game. We still have quite a few night shifts to do before we wrap it all up, but that doesn't have to be done every single day. We'll have that degree of continuity. We'll always carry on night after night. What I mean is we'll carry on with the activity, which is kind of slotted into separate night shifts within the game, and therefore we can always introduce something else in the meantime. So Call of the Sea coming tomorrow, so if you're interested, definitely pencil it in your diary tomorrow at 3 o'clock. And was it 2 o'clock? We'll see. It's going to be tomorrow afternoon. In any case, I'll post the exact timing on Twitter, and then we'll find out what the game's like. Basically, this is an otherworldly tale of mystery and love set in the 1930s South Pacific. Explore a lush island paradise, solve puzzles, and unlock secrets in the hunt for your husband's missing expedition. In fact, I have several puzzlers I purchased for £1.20 on Xbox. I played them quite a bit, and they were very, very enjoyable. I love puzzlers. It's my sort of vice. I played lots of these in the 90s, before the game world was as well developed as it is today, and really this is one of those games. Just quite curious to see how it works on the visual front, because some of them are quite basic and they look a bit like the games you can play on Switch or your Android, but this one did come across as a bit more RPG styled, advanced type of game. They talked a lot about it on Xbox podcasts, but I didn't really get a flavour of what the game was actually like. Whether they've not played it long enough, or there might be some other reason, or maybe I've not listened to what is said as carefully as I should. We'll find out all about that ourselves tomorrow when we stream the game. So this is the game of the week for this week on Xbox Game Club, and as I said, Play, Share and Discuss is the creed, and let's see what we'll have later in the month. From tomorrow we have Elder Scrolls V Skyrim. Well, that is the game I definitely want to be streaming here and introducing. You're all very familiar with Elder Scrolls, and we've not had Skyrim here ever, even for a single stream. So that is what we'll do. What's very interesting in Skyrim is your customization, how you build your character, how you kick off from the beginning, and that's one of those tremendously delightful types of activities attached to Oblivion and Skyrim. Certainly I enjoy them tremendously, and we'll have a full in-depth look at how the character is created and how you really need to play it if you want to be pursuing it outside of the Elder Scrolls Online world, which is what we were doing here for quite a bit on my channel. So Elder Scrolls V Skyrim Special Edition, January the 11th to January the 17th. And then the game that I'm really interested in, I've seen clips and I watched the Game Awards. They won quite a few awards this year. They actually won the award for the best multiplayer of the year 2020, Among Us. The game's been around for a little while, for about 3 years, and hit really the top rankings in the course of the last year. So we want to find out what this game is like. It is going to be accessible instantly on Xbox Game Pass, and that we are going to be streaming during that week, January the 18th to January 24th. So that's actually next week, isn't it? So in about 10 days. So really looking forward to that as well. We do not know what the game is going to be given to us for the last week, but they want to be keeping a kind of surprise every single month. So that's the new type of system that they introduced. We have some giveaways there as well. If you're interested, you can be participating in those. So join the Xbox Community Game Club and win a Gamers Give Union suit. So you need to be joining before the 17th of January in order to qualify. And then I already have joined during the day one, and I love the slide, the graphics we have in here with all the characters from various games. The Master Chief, we have guys from Gears of War, we have chaps from Sea of Thieves, all of those Xbox exclusives, Minecraft as well, and then the new consoles is really terrific. Also, we are inviting you all to join our community of Xbox ambassadors. So if you are on Xbox, it is a very good way through which you will promote ethical gaming. You'll become a member of our community, and you can do what you could say is a first step towards your full involvement with the industry. I most highly recommend everyone to join. You will have lots of wonderful gamers out there communicating with you on different forums and on the news boards in particular, when you contribute to resolutions of certain issues and problems. And you can also discuss various games. You can find new squad mates if you are an active kind of Reddit stroke news forums contributor. And first of all, you'll be a valuable member of our community, promoting what we like doing the best, which we call ethical gaming. A gaming that is inclusive, that is tolerant, that is providing advice, tips and views on how to do certain games, how to engage with various communities, how to produce connections on various platforms, how to create Twitch and YouTube streaming channels, and all other wonderful activities, but as I said, within the aura of ethical gaming. So you will never be saying things that somebody can be offended by. You will always be including every single participant. You'll be very attentive, you'll be a full team player, you'll make sure that you're polite and attentive and courteous towards everyone who comes in, and always available to help others, those particularly who are in the need, people who require assistance. These are the principles. You can also earn the Duke ship set with Xbox Series X and S. So if you play Sea of Thieves on an Xbox Series X or S before May the 9th, so that's 6 months ahead from now, and you can earn the Duke ship set, which celebrates 4 generations of Xbox consoles. You'll also be able to experience the game like never before in 60 frames per second, and it's really terrific. Sea of Thieves is an Xbox exclusive, and I played it quite a bit initially. Really loved the game. It's similar to Destiny if you like the quirky characters and the activities when you sail the seas. Loads of funny dialogue and lovable rogues everywhere, and it's an ideal game for people to get together, so most highly recommended. We actually need to stream it. I did say I was going to stream it before Christmas, but then we didn't have much time due to Warzone and Destiny streams and the launches of those new seasons, as we've seen with both games, and therefore Sea of Thieves fell out. But Sea of Thieves was also, I think, in December, the beginning of December, the game of the week here on Xbox Community Club, and we really want to get reacquainted, time permitting. They're also asking for everyone to play Minecraft on Xbox Game Pass. Well, obviously, if you are on the platform, you really want to be making sure that you enjoy Minecraft as much as possible, free of charge if you're a subscriber, and you can engage with the worldwide community of players who actually are dedicated to the game, who played it already for years and accomplish some unbelievable tasks and progress forward within that wonderful world. Alright, my friends, I think that's probably all in a nutshell. Once again, I like to invite everyone to join our Xbox Community Game Club and participate. We want people to be playing those games that come up every single week. They're labeled Game of the Week. All of those are on Xbox Game Pass. If you are a subscriber to the Ultimate, you are going to be getting free access to everything on Game Pass. You'll have Xbox Gold connection provided free of charge, and you'll have also the facility through which you'll download games to your PC if you wish to play on that platform. So all of that included in that one fixed monthly price, and I needn't tell you, if you're an avid dedicated gamer, you've got to be having the Game Pass. It's the best thing in the industry at the moment. And also the Game Club is very new. It's been around for about 2 months, and we are still hoping that we'll get many more participants and contributors, and I'll dedicate quite a bit of time here on my channel in order to enable greater participation. We want new ambassadors, we want new members, and we want people to be, as I said, playing, sharing and discussing games here on this platform as well as on Twitter and everywhere else. So thank you for listening to my news bulletin today. We've come to the end. We'll carry on with DRBMiller introducing. We'll have another session of Night Call today. Tomorrow the DRBMiller introducing will give you the game I just mentioned, Call of the Sea, and we'll do a bit of gameplay in there, and we'll see how that goes. And then today we'll carry on with Warzone. After 4 o'clock we'll have another 3-hour session with our members and squad mates. So thank you for watching, thank you for supporting the channel. Stay with us, we'll be back very shortly with DRBMiller introducing Night Call.